Hey everybody, Chuck Barone, Thursday, October 27th, 2022. Running to the end of October, man. Is it just me or did this month go by so freaking fast? Wow, it seems like it was just, we were looking at the end of the third quarter and now we're already up well into the fourth. Anyway, I babble, forgive me. As always, before we start the show, I just want to thank everybody for their support, watching the videos, all of your comments and questions and likes and shares. We couldn't do it without you guys. We love you. A special shout out to my man Greg Manarino. Most of you guys here. Sent by Greg, who's a big advocate of the show. We appreciate all of you guys. In the markets today, a crazy day in the markets, a weird day overall. God, we got a lot to talk about here. Stock market ends mixed with the Dow up small. NASDAQ and S&P both down, showing really the broader market was down pretty significantly. Not a big market moving day today. I think the market's kind of going to try to digest this GDP report we got today and kind of try to get a feel for what's next with the Fed. In the bond market today, market rallies a little. Well, not a little, a lot actually. 10-year coming down 8 basis points to 3.93. Well, I mean, back below 4% again. Crazy. The 2-year falling 14 basis points down to 4.27. Again, I think it was all in this GDP report. They're figuring since the report was a positive, they're discounting the idea of a recession. I'm not so sure about that. So they're looking for this. Now we're back to the famous Fed pivot. And I think that's the reason the bond market rallied today. Let's see if this market rally holds up. I doubt it. The dollar today up pretty good, almost a point, to 110.52 on the index. The dollar's still the champ, but the euro's trying. The ECB raising rates today, trying to keep up with the Fed on these rate increases. Metals today with the dollar up. Metals down only small though. Gold down $3.50 to $1,663 per ounce. Silver down just 6 cents to $19.60 per ounce. That's holding up pretty well in the face of this dollar. Metals, I think, like I said, I think metals really want to rally. They're just looking for this little bit of weakness in this dollar, a reason to take off. I think you could see a rally coming soon in metals. Oil today up small, $88.70 for a barrel of West Texas Intermediate. It looks like it's broken out of that trough between 80 and 85 though. Let's keep an eye on this next week and see if it settles back down or it continues its rise. Natural gas whipsawing around again like crazy, down 3% today to $5.44 for their million BTU. I don't get natural gas. I'm glad I'm not trading it because I'd be losing money every day because I just don't see how it reaches a high of $9, well over $9. Now it's down in the 5s and can't even barely hang on to that. Why? Is there a new big supply of natural gas we haven't heard about? Is demand for natural gas, they figuring it's going to be a warm winter and people won't need their heaters? I don't know what the reason is, but here we sit with natural gas coming down pretty significantly. Bitcoin today down with the market, down $273, 20,494. A down day is always bad, but it's holding its support number. I think Bitcoin, again, like metals, looking for a reason to rally. Let's see if it finds it. In news you guys need to know today, I'm sure everybody's heard this news already. GDP report comes out, up 2.6% for the third quarter, jolting everybody. Like, how the hell is that even possible? Completely conflicting with the way everybody's feeling. A lot of the negativity we've seen in all the economic reports coming out. So I wanted to get into this a little bit. Okay, how is it possible, right? Real estate collapsing and everything else. So I looked it up and went into digging a little bit. And the reason the GDP went up, check this out, guys. So exports. Exports went up from the U.S. 14.4% in the third quarter, along with a 6.9% drop in imports. So we're selling more goods out, we're buying less goods in, And just those two numbers right there, the rise in exports, the decrease in imports, added 2.8%, or added, 2.8% to GDP in the quarter. So without import-export activity, if it just stayed normal, you'd have a negative 2% or negative 0.2% GDP. I'm sure there were a couple other minor things that added to this. So this report looks good. Our political freakos are going to get out there and tout this as wonderful, great news. See, what we're doing is working. Yeah, not so much, guys. Okay? The basic economy here in the United States, not doing well. Imports being up, just all that was the massive amounts of oil and natural gas we're selling to Europe. Record amounts being imported or exported out of the country. So there you sit. So there's the reality of this GDP number. Take it with a grain of salt. Other news today you guys need to hear about. The European Central Bank comes out today, getting in front of the Federal Reserve, which will announce their rate increase next week, raising their interest rates 3/4 of a point, trying to keep pace with what they expect from the Federal Reserve next week, bringing their overnight rate up to 1.5%. So it's still, even with the rate increase, still significantly less than our, which will be going up next week to 3.85%. So we're still two full points ahead of Euro. But this rate at 1.5% in Europe is the highest the rate has been since 2009. Okay. Other news today, important stuff. Jobless claims come in for this week, falling again, 214,000 versus 217,000 last week. Market's still staying strong for employment. I always wonder what kind of jobs these are, guys. I mean, are the jobs even real? Because a lot of people are telling me they're applying and not getting interviews at tons of different places. So I don't know. This whole job market thing is very confusing in the face of all the other data we're getting here, right? Other interesting stuff today, used car prices, which were a big driver of the inflation with new cars and the chip issue we had earlier this year. People were, and plus prices on new cars, people were piling into used cars and prices were going up phenomenally. I was cracking up. I'm like, now a depreciating asset is gaining in value. You know the world's off its rocker. I think that might have been one of my signs of the apocalypse things I did. But prices coming back down now, which bummer for banks that lend at these higher prices. Now guys are upside down in cars. They owe more than the car's worth. Great. And used car dealers who paid big prices to keep used cars on their lots, now looking at these declines, may have some difficulty even breaking even on these used cars. So there's some consequences to these prices coming down, right? Another interesting thing, savings accounts. I've seen online, and when digging a little bit, savings account rates coming up. I've seen offerings for savings accounts on some of these online banks, FDIC insured, as high as 3.5% on a completely liquid, savings account. Awesome, right? Rates coming up for savers. At the same time, mortgage rates now right around 7.25% because they're pricing in the increase coming next week. The highest they've been in the United States since 2001. Wow, crazy times, man. The world's off its rocker, guys. We all know this. The advice we've been giving you guys since the very first show. Try to save 10% of your income. Try not to add on any existing debt. Position your investments depending on how you're invested and what you're invested in. Try to get yourself into a more defensive position. When we've been advocating that since June when we started the blog, prices have been choppy ever since, but if you follow that advice, the defensive stocks have actually done pretty well in this market. We've been advocating if you can possibly do it, and I know times are tough, but if you can possibly do it, start chipping away at the existing debt you have. If you stop adding debt on and if you start paying your debt off, even an extra $25 makes a difference, guys. Start chipping away and get that debt down. And of course, we've been emphasizing to try to be more thoughtful, more deliberate in the way you're spending your money. Everybody has to spend money. We all need to buy things and do things. Just try to stay away from the impulse stuff, the stuff that maybe you can wait a little bit on, and try and stash that money rather than spending it impulsively on something you may want but not actually need, right? Crazy day. We get to wrap the week up tomorrow. We'll see. We're going to get more data, lots of earnings coming tomorrow. We'll see where it leads the market. Know that this GDP number is, I'm not saying they're lying, even though they're probably fudging these numbers. Is that a nice way of saying lying? But this GDP it's bullshit. Let's say it what it is. It's nice to see our imports or our exports going out more and our imports coming in less. But what we really exported is oil, probably oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, right? So the GDP numbers, the market rallies, the government, boop, 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 the Fed's going to start talking about how, see, look, you know, we can come in for this soft, you're going to start hearing soft landing again, right? Like I've always told you, when you hear the word soft landing from a government official, picture the Hindenburg exploding, because that's usually the way these soft landings turn out. Anyway, guys, that's all we got for the day. We really appreciate your support. One last thing. I was watching Greg's blog. I'm a big fan of Greg's. And he's talking about this new initiative, I guess. This, what is he calling it? It's No Name spelled backwards, right? About doing good deeds. Well, I'll tell you what. If you want good to come to you in your life, it starts by you doing good in other people's lives. You know, when Greg talks about doing a good deed, and I second this motion, I would like to promote this idea. I think it's genius. I think if we get enough people to start talking about this and actually following through, and I'm not talking about this pay it forward at Starbucks thing, okay? I'm talking about, you know, saying hello to your neighbor, and if you have an older neighbor, walk their dog or mow their lawn for them if you're mowing your own, right? Or looking out for the people at your office and making sure everybody's good. Just the littlest, smallest things, even with your own family. You know, taking the time to call somebody you haven't talked to in a little bit, you know, and could maybe, nobody knows where people are in their lives right now. Sometimes a how you doing and a happy word can make somebody's day or even week, right, guys? So do good deeds. I think this is a good idea. Here, Greg, great idea. We want to support your initiative. I think it's pretty clever. And I think that it could really turn into something big if everybody starts following we create a chain of good deeds. Can't do anything but make the world a better place. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. We love you. We'll see you again tomorrow to wrap this week up. Till we talk then, take care.